Okay, class number 2 corresponds to lesson planning number 1, which topic is writing a formal letter or how to write a formal letter to identify the main difference with the informal letter and to identify and know which are the elements, what kind of vocabulary we will use, and how to use it every time we need to use a formal letter, in which cases we need to write in a formal way. It's not the same to write an informal letter than a formal letter. So it's important for students to know. That will be the topic. What is the aim? The aim of the class is to write a formal letter considering the elements that it must have and to write it in a correct and an accurate way. And for this purpose, the activities that will be developed during the hour are number one, to open the topic or to introduce the topic, the teacher decided to use a slide share presentation. So I will share with you in this moment part of that presentation. I will show you, and by the way, I will also right now show you the platform that I will use for this class that is called Symbaloo. It's kind of a very digital resourceful tool in which you contain there many different links that you can share with the students in order to focus their attention on the topic instead of having them looking here and there in Google searching, then maybe they can get lost. This is a very good tool in which you are going previously to select the topics, the links, the videos, or the information that you would like to share with them, or the information that you would like to have them in order to find information. So as I told you, the presentation of the topic is going to be based on a slide share presentation in which we will find here characteristics, examples, differences between formal letters and informal letters. As you can see, you have there the characteristics, um, the characteristics, the sections, the elements, the parts of a formal letter. You have here address or date, because sometimes if we're not sending by mail this letter, probably we don't need to include the address, right? Especially now that we're using all the digital platforms or sending everything by email. The greeting that is different from an informal letter, the body, the complementary clause, and if you have something else like both that, right? Okay. You have here how to locate the different elements of a formal letter, examples of greetings, the body, the clothes, and the style. That here we can make a pause with the students to reinforce or to emphasize that the formal language will be the formal language, or the vocabulary that we have to use in a formal letter is completely different from the one that we use in a very informal letter. So it's important to check and consider that the formal language and some rules like do not use contractions. And instead of that, you cannot use contractions, but you can use modals as would, should, could, and of course, to avoid the use of colloquial language. Yeah, the structure and the content, that is very important to for students to have this information, because later on during the class they will be asked to write a formal letter by using the steps or by analyzing and using the correct structure. Useful language. You have here some examples and also templates that you can share with students, so the work is going to be easier, and probably at the beginning is something that you can let them have to have a better idea, to have a better understanding, and maybe later on they will be able to use to write a letter, a formal letter without any template. But a template could be a good idea to guide them, to help them. Okay, and if you want, as I told you, this is a digital platform that allows you to have many different resources. You can also include resources like this, like the ones that you are looking here, like links. Okay, let's continue. Activity number 2. After the presentation, the teacher will ask the students to elicit some characteristics about this kind of letter, the formal letter. Probably the teacher will hear from them the language, the vocabulary, the elements, the structure of it. So in that way, the teacher is bringing that information back, and students are realizing how important it is to identify the differences between these two types of letters. Activity number 3, a jigsaw activity is explained as a game. As you can see, this could be as a warming up activity, the game, and this game asks students to arrange a formal letter. So many envelopes are handed out to students, and each envelope has parts of the formal letter, right? Maybe the date, the greeting, the body, the closing, and finally the closing, right? So the idea is to make them work in groups in a collaborative way in order to find the letter, the formal letter provided by the teacher. At the end, you can ask someone to read the whole letter, and that's a very good way to make them participate, to make feel comfortable by playing and by sharing with their partners, with their classmates, information. Maybe for some students will be very easy to connect, but probably others will need the support of their groups. Activity number 4. Students are asked to work in groups again and find some examples in the internet. And for that, and I will show you again. And for that, the teacher provides the students this link so they can, now that they are gathering group, they can probably have a computer or an iPad, a tablet, so they can find this information in the platform. Let me show you again in Simbaloo. In order to set research activity. I'm not sharing. Okay, here you are. Yeah. And as I told you before, they will find here many different resources, digital resources. You have here slide sharing, you have here examples, over here you have steps, how to write a formal letter, steps and tips. Let me point with the red spot over here because I'm not sure if you're looking. Yeah, okay. I included here also a dictionary if they need to find something in a dictionary, how to write a formal letter, tips and steps, examples, templates. You have even here a page in which they can find podcasts. And this one, the one that I have here, if you press it, it goes directly to a platform in which, as I said before, in which you can find many different podcasts. So they will be developing also
Hello there, IELTS students. Welcome.
the listening skill. Let me share with you just a piece of it so you can hear it. And at the same time, they are applying what they have learned, the structure, the grammatical structure. Okay, let's see if you can hear them.
To IELTS podcast. You no longer have to worry, fret, or panic about IELTS because we are here to guide
How
you
to write a
through this
formal letter.
test.
Okay, I think that's enough. As an example, it's fine. And finally, after giving them some minutes to search in this platform, The teacher will ask the students, maybe a volunteer of each group, to read the best letter that they found in order to check, in order to give more examples, and to provide them more input, and to ask them later to write their own formal letter. Activity number 5. So now the teacher invites the students to write a formal letter. For this purpose, he or she, the teacher, leads a brainstorming activity to find a topic that could be interesting for students, because you know that probably the things that probably teachers will suggest are not interesting for them. So it's better to work like this to let them make a brainstorming with many different topics, and according to that topic, you can ask them to work on their formal letter. It could be, for example, to ask for permission. In this case, what I requested in this planning was to write a letter to the principal of the school and ask for permission to start a campaign, a recycle campaign. Activity number 6. Each student must write a formal letter finally, and meanwhile, the teacher monitors. This is a very key aspect that we have as teachers to consider. So the teacher will be walking around, checking the progress, checking if there are misunderstandings, or to solve possible difficulties that any student could be having, right? And here, for this activity, the teacher will also introduce another platform, a digital platform application that is called Boom Writer. And this, in this program, let me see if I have it over here so you can see. Yes, look, it's here. Okay, so students are requested to write a formal letter. They can type a draft here and they will receive instant feedback from the teacher. Um, and the teacher, as I said, he or she will be checking and giving feedback. That is very important for students to have. Sometimes they feel that they are sent a lot of homework or classwork and the teacher never checks or never corrects those things. So they can be working, but at the same time, the teacher can be also giving feedback on their drafts. Okay. And finally, to close the topic, they can just review. The teacher can read another example, or they can even choose some examples. If you're asking for something in your job at work, it depends the area, but it's fine to give them many options in many different environments and how if we choose no if we respect and we use the structure, it's going to be very easy to apply the knowledge and just to write a formal letter. Probably at the beginning could be kind of hard for students, but with practice they are going to have a better fluency for writing too. And finally, as a closing activity or as a follow-up activity, it could be, as I said before, to write a letter for the principal of the school requesting in a very polite way, using the structure, using the language, using the formal vocabulary, the formal language, to start a campaign, a recycle campaign at school. And in that way, they are also taking action of their knowledge, not just receiving input, but also producing output and the outcome that they are developing. Yeah. Another thing that probably I would like to mention about this is that all these activities will fulfill the aim because the students acquire knowledge by practicing. It's important to give them the possibility to use attractive topics to motivate, just as an advice. And every time we check or every time we realize, we see that they are gaining experience, they are gaining confidence, we have to talk about that, we have to congratulate that, and we have to promote as well collaborative collaborative work by organizing groups and by having them or letting them to support other students. And of course, to use the prior knowledge they had been acquired before in order to produce a good piece of writing, in this case, formal letter. That's it. Thank you.